A warm welcome to everyone present today to this session on Unleashing the Future, a deep dive into artificial intelligence and machine learning. My name is Amir Nazir, and I will be your host for today's event. We are extremely delighted to have our president along with our esteemed panelists for the session join in today. First up, I would like to request Dr. Altaf Lal, President of Kashmir Care Foundation, to deliver his opening remarks, please. Dr. Lal.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. You would notice that we have an all-men panel today. And the reason is, globally speaking, women have not made in the STEM field in the leadership level yet. It's not because women are not capable of, and I can see the screen, and many of the audiences will see the screen, and mashallah, there are vibrant female scholars making there. And they will be our leaders in 5 to 10 years. And I think I've met some of you last month. So the future for Kashmir is bright because you, the bright women, are on the table. So in planning for this session, we also noted that though we have superb academics in Manzoor Saab and Muzaffar Saab, but we noted that we were a bit light on the tools and technology side of the AI and ML. So we're going to come back to you in a future session where we'll focus on the tools and technology. And Faisal, our moderator, is going to go into that a little bit. I just want to make two last comments. One is the Kashmir Care Foundation is talking to Kashmir Education Initiative and ThinkSight for joint programs that we could do, where we extend their work and they extend our work. And I believe this collaboration will have an impact which will be more than the sum of individual events, individual efforts. So please welcome also the KEI leadership and the ThinkSight leadership who may be on the call today. And finally, we reach out to you through Facebook and through Instagram. So if each one of you who follow us on Facebook can ask your 10 friends or 15 friends and relatives to also follow us, it becomes easy for us to communicate with you the messaging. So with those comments, Amir, I pass it back to you again. Enormous thanks to IUST. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your welcome address. We indeed are delighted to be here on campus IUST today. A wonderful campus, warm people around. We thank them for hosting us. And a big thank you to Honorable Vice Chancellor for letting us host this event over here. So going forward, it's my distinct pleasure and honor to present a message from the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Islamic University of Science and Technology, Avantipora, Professor Shakil Ahmed Romshu. Professor Romshu has a multidisciplinary academic and research background, having obtained his PhD in water resources engineering from the University of Tokyo, Japan, and MS in remote sensing and GIS from the Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, Thailand. Prior to his becoming the Vice Chancellor of IUST, he was Dean of Research at University of Kashmir. He has guided 25 PhD MPhil students to date and has published more than 225 research publications in peer-reviewed scientific journals. With this brief introduction, we present a message from Dr. Romshu. Please.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everybody. On behalf of the Islamic University of Science and Technology, I welcome you all to this session of the Kashmir Care Foundation, which is a part of the Global Connect program, where today's session is basically all about the applications of artificial intelligence, machine learning in different fields. As all of us know here, as students and as professionals, that AI/ML has almost applications in every field, whether it is the businesses, whether it is the technology, whether it is the education sector. Name any sector and you will find applications of AI/ML there. So I express my gratitude and I can congratulate the Kashmir Care Foundation and Professor Dr. Lal to have, rolled out this program for the youth, for the bright and young youth of Kashmir, to connect to them with different professionals in different fields, the academics, the institutes, and also the civil society. I think when we look at the programs, the series of programs and the topics that have been identified to be dealt by experts for making them, mainstream, popularizing them among the youth, I think it will have a large impact. I have no doubt that it will have significant impact on the professional growth, on the career development of all of you who have today gathered here, particularly for understanding, for knowing about the applications of AI in different fields. Now, if you look at the experts, they are from the industry, they are from the academia, they are from different, sectors, and that brings, basically the transdisciplinarity, the multidisciplinarity into the team. Now, when we look at the IUST, Islamic University of Science and Technology, this particular field, artificial intelligence, machine learning, is an important, subject for us. We have a Center for Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning, where we, provide the MTech degrees. We have computer science and engineering. We have Department of Computer Science, and we have, department for the data science and decision sciences, where we give the degrees in the data sciences. Now, together with this, at the IUST, Islamic University of Science and Technology, we have established an ecosystem for the promotion of these disruptive technologies, together with the initiatives that we have taken for the promotion of an ecosystem of innovations, entrepreneurship, and startups. So this initiative of the Kashmir Care Foundation syncs well with our own initiatives. And we are really excited to host this program, and I welcome all of you to this program, and I look forward to a very productive session today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Romshu, for hosting us, and thanks for that warm message. Moving forward, before I hand over to our moderator for the day, we have a new core team member who has joined us, Falak Trambu. So you just please introduce yourself quickly, Falak.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. My name is Falak Trambu, and I'm currently residing in Germany. I've been living here for about 3 years now, and I work at Siemens as the Customer Discovery and Scaling Manager. Prior to Germany, I was living in Dubai, where I worked for about 7 to 8 years as the head of account management at Zomato. And alongside with my professional career, I've been quite active with my volunteering activities, mainly focused on entrepreneurship and the field of education. And that being said, I'm quite honored to be part of KCF, and I'm honestly looking forward to working with each and every one in the team towards the vision and the goal that we have set for the organization. And with that, I will be quite frank and say I'm equally excited about the session we have today. So I won't take more time, and I'll hand it back to you so we can quickly get started with the session. I'm sure everyone's eagerly waiting.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Falak, and welcome to Kashmir Care Foundation. Now, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Dr. Faisal Farooq, who will moderate this session for us. He's an established leader with over 15 plus years of experience in applying machine learning, managing large teams with multi-million-dollar R&D portfolio. Faisal is currently the Senior Director of Artificial Intelligence at Pinterest and was awarded a Lifetime Service Award by ACM, the largest computing professional body in the world. Prior to that, he was at LinkedIn, Microsoft, and before that, the founding head of the Health AI Research Group at Qatar Computing Research Institute at Hamad bin Khalifa University. Before moving to Qatar, he led a 100-plus member team involved in conducting cutting-edge research and delivering AI products to the healthcare market at IBM Watson. Faisal was responsible for delivering a highly successful and one of the largest deployed machine learning NLP-based systems in US healthcare with revenue exceeding $350 million. He was nominated as a key expert, distinguished scientist, which is the highest research status in Siemens. Faisal has authored 20 plus patents, 50 plus scientific publications, organized 15 plus conferences and workshops. Welcome, Faisal. Before I turn into you, I have been wanting to ask you this. We who are starting to use artificial intelligence during these recent times, for us, it's new. But I see that you did your PhD in 2008 in artificial intelligence. So it has been here for decades. So while you are within your session, so at any time, could you please answer that question also, that how old it's for you, and please take us forward. So over to you, Dr. Faisal Farooq, the moderator for the session.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's indeed a pleasure, and thank you so much for this kind introduction. It's an honor to be here. I will welcome everyone to the second session organized by Kashmir Charitable Foundation. And I'm sure you asked a question about artificial intelligence. Even though the hype is new, it definitely is not new. That's a very astute observation. In fact, the early stages of artificial intelligence were invented in 1870s. The perceptron as a unit of learning was invented in 1943. In fact, John Hopfield just got the Nobel Prize this year in 2024, even though he invented the Hopfield networks back in 1982. So yes, AI, as you rightly mentioned, has been around for quite some time. But the way I see it, it's a culmination of three important things that just hit the right time. It's the perfect storm, because we now have large amounts of data, extremely powerful computing that can actually process that large amount of data, and very powerful algorithms, which in fact, my generation of AI researchers worked on, because at that time we didn't have so much computing power, so we tried to optimize our algorithms. And this is the perfect storm, that like all three things at the same time has led to where we are. And as we go into the session with our esteemed guests, we can briefly talk about, and the questions that can come, we can answer them throughout. But the algorithms that we worked on back in the day, like hidden Markov models or support vector machines. In fact, neural networks had gone out of favor, and nobody would use neural networks because they just use too much computational power and use too much data, and we just did not have any of those. And then once we have computational power like the NVIDIA chips, the new H10 series and others, and then we have large amounts of data, it's basically hit the perfect storm, and we are where we are right now. So with that, I will go into the main session. Without further ado, I'll introduce a little our esteemed guests. But I do want to mention very briefly that as Dr. Altaf said, our female scholars in this have historically haven't joined this field a lot, but there are many upcoming in this field, and one of them actually probably is on the call. I don't know if you are there. I have had the honor of knowing her, and getting in touch with her, guiding her a little bit as she was forming in her formative years for career, and I was an established data scientist. Maliha, if you're on the call, if you can
yes.
unmute and maybe speak for 30 seconds, introduce yourself. And she, Maliha is we're proud to have one of the upcoming scientists, and there are more. But I just want to give a shout out to Maliha, and maybe Maliha, you want to introduce yourself for 30 seconds before I get to introduce our speakers?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. So as as Faisal Bhai mentioned, that I am an upcoming, or I'm an established or upcoming somewhere in between data scientist, and I work as a solution engineer here in California. And I had my bachelor's degree from Kashmir, and then I moved to US for getting my master's degree in computer science. And I've been working for around 4 years at this point. I mainly work in the industry, so really applying all the machine learning and data science solutions, right from designing them and implementing them for many different industries, be it healthcare, finance, retail, whatnot. So that's just a little bit about me. I am from Kashmir. I'm from Srinagar. I have done most of my education from there, and I just live in California now. And very nice to be here.
Thank you very much, Maliha. We're very proud of you. Thank you for being here. And again, right before jumping into the call, I would again request the participants, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hands or type it in the chat for the questions, and we can take them as we speak. Hopefully, we can recognize you by your names on chat. With that, without further ado, I want to get into the session, and I would like all of you to join me in welcoming our panelists. We have Amjad Khan, who is joining us from Dubai. We have Mohammed Junaid, who's joining us from Germany. We have Manzoor Saab from Srinagar, and Muzaffar Saab is also from Srinagar. And then we have my fellow Texan, Mr. Samar Khan, who's joining us from USA. At this point, I would like each one of you, starting with Junaid Saab, to introduce yourselves, and let's keep it short within a couple of minutes so that we can then get into the meat of the discussion and also get into the questions from the audience. Over to you, Junaid.
Thank you, Faisal. Hey everyone, I'm glad to be here today, and it's good to see so many of you having joined us today. My name is Junaid. Before I start, I'll make a couple of points. First, point number one, today I'm speaking in my personal capacity and do not represent Google and or Alphabet on the call. And number two, as Faisal said, if you have any questions, please ask. There are no silly questions, no stupid questions. Inquisitiveness is the cornerstone of success. So just put in your question in the chat and we'll answer. So my name is Junaid. I am a technologist. I work at Google, and I have this unique privilege of, working with arguably some of the smartest, sharpest people in the world and learning from them. Learning is a continuous, lifelong process. That's important. I work on machine learning, artificial intelligence, generative AI enablement. This is across industry fields. So we work with all the product groups within Google, the teams that create those tools, the teams that work on creating the models behind the tools. And also, I am fortunate enough to see those being implemented in the industry as organizations use these technologies to derive value and to create growth for their stakeholders. So how did I reach here, right? So I started from Kashmir, like I guess all of you, and I did my schooling from Burnhall. It was an amazing experience. I am indebted to the institution, to the teachers that we had, to the kind of knowledge that I gained there, and some of the kind of personality traits that I picked up at school have been essential in making me a successful individual, whether it is communication, confidence, competitiveness, and a clarity about what I want to do. So when I came out of Burnhall, I was clear that I want to be a technologist. And then I did my engineering in computer science. You go out of home, you take time to kind of figure out how to work. It took me a while, 1 year maybe. But then I kind of, again, came on the right track, worked hard, and post my computer science, I did MBA in strategy and finance, and followed up with a diploma in European business and politics. Okay. And then I've been working in the IT industry, in a host of different roles. I've done consulting, I've done strategy. I've done a lot of product development in my initial formative years. And now, as I said, I kind of focus on delivering value using machine learning and generative AI. So that's it, Faisal, from me. Give it back to you. And if you have any questions, please put in there.
Thank you very much, Junaid. And again, at this point, I'll try, take it to Manzoor Saab. Please introduce yourself briefly.
Good morning. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all of you. It's a pleasure to be one of the panelists for this session. My name is Manzoor, and I work at University of Kashmir as a scientist. For me, going into this area of computer science was just a chance. Actually, I had after 12th, I had planned to do civil engineering. So I had appeared for the entrance at BOPE. Meanwhile, my brother had a plan to start a corporate business, and he had bought some material which he was supposed to sell then, and then he got selected for MBBS. So the material remained there, and I was sent by my father to Delhi to sell it. So in Delhi, one of my friend came and he told me that I should accompany him to Jamia Millia regarding his admission for computer science. So I went with him and I told him, what is this computer science? It's a story way back in '93. So he said that these are computers having bits and bytes. So then he gave me some introduction and I got interested in this area. So when I came back, I was selected for civil engineering at REC Srinagar. But then I told my father that now I have a change of my mind. I don't want to study civil. I want to do computer science. So then I was sent to a place near Bangalore called Belgaum. It was where I learned computer science engineering. Then I did my master's from BITS Pilani and MBA from Kashmir University. Then I did my PhD at Kashmir University in dialogue systems and natural language processing. I was also employed at University of Kashmir, and I have been teaching at university since 2002, which means now I am around 22 years of teaching computer science. Since I joined Kashmir University, that time we would have one course called MCA program at Kashmir University. Then we started MTech in computer science engineering. And now we have started a full-fledged integrated program in artificial intelligence and data science, which will be a 5 years program starting from 10+2. So that's about me and how I came into computer science. For me, I have been teaching artificial intelligence and I have been a supervisor to many scholars. Some of my scholars are now working in US. At one scholar recently went to Harvard Medical School as a postdoc fellow. Another student scholar who also qualified this year went to a Bangalore-based research institute, a company, software company, which is into research using AI and ML. So for me, computer science is my second home. We have to keep on learning. That is how this goes. And we are teaching here in Kashmir at Kashmir University. Kashmir University is working towards this area, and our Vice Chancellor is also very enthusiastic about introducing this AI program. Always she wants that we should put new programs. A new program with the Design Your Degree has been introduced at University of Kashmir. Again, there are around 30 students, out of which more than 20 are working on AI. And so that's how Kashmir is coming up with the new students and scholars in artificial intelligence. So we are not lacking creating new people. Thank you.
Thank you, Manzoor Saab.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Manzoor Saab. It's great to hear that there's a lot of work happening in AI in Kashmir and Kashmir University and other institutes as well. At this point, I'll turn it over to Muzaffar Saab.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Faisal, for giving me an opportunity to introduce myself. I grew up in Kashmir and began my early education at Said Memorial School, a local private school. Later, I continued my schooling at Modern Public School, Kiram. Both schools may have had, they were very modest in terms of infrastructure, but certainly they were deeply committed to promoting modern education. They played a key role in shaping my foundational years. At the senior secondary school level, I chose maths, physics, and chemistry as my subjects. I was fortunate to have Malik Saab from Sapapora as my physics teacher, whose guidance inspired me to take physics as my major later. I also had the privilege of learning from Dr. Bilal Saab, a brilliant mathematics teacher who helped me to decide to pursue my postgrad in mathematics. After completing my postgrad in mathematics, I made a pivotal decision to further my studies by pursuing another postgrad at Kashmir University, this time in computer applications. Blending my background in mathematics with computer science turned out to be the best decision of my life, as it allowed me to dive deep into the world of AI. Initially, I started my career as probationary officer at JK Bank, but after a few months, I decided to leave and joined Islamic University of Science and Technology. It was there where I began to dream about contributing to the science and innovation. In 2019, I completed my PhD in artificial intelligence under the supervision of Professor Arif Wani, the then head of the Department of Computer Science. And since then, I have been exploring the application of AI in sectors like human health, agriculture, horticulture, which I believe hold tremendous potential for positive impact. Whatever we do generally, to my left, to my right, Dr. Asif Hassan and Dr. Muzaffar Masha, they are actually the reason that we, as a group, I have seen in academics that, unless until you have a group to contribute, otherwise you get like hooked to your, academics. But for the research, to continue your research, you need to have a team. And I am all lucky to have team members like Dr. Asif Hassan and Dr. Muzaffar Masha with me. That's all about me, Tessa.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I had an honor to speak maybe 7 or 8 years ago about artificial intelligence at IUST, and I was really, really pleased with the vibrant and dynamic environment at IUST, with the professors and the students. So it was great. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Summer very quickly. Summer, please.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I know we are. Assalamu alaikum, everybody, and good morning to everybody in Kashmir. So I'll give you guys a little bit about what I come from. So early schooling was purely very much from the BISCO school. So I'm a BISCO boy. So I was heavily involved with any sports. Primarily, I played football for the state. Then it took me for a few years. I was in Delhi. I played professionally in Delhi for almost a year, and then after finishing my 1 year of professional football, I relocated to University of Texas, Arlington. I was fortunate to get an international scholarship, so I was able to study at the University of Texas, Arlington. And right after my undergrad, I was actually working in aviation. There's a large airline here, American Airlines Sabre. So I was heavily involved in building mostly airline solutions. So you can think of in early years, in India, there used to be a Jet Airways or PI or Emirates. So I built software for over 100 airlines in my career. So. And during my professional career as software developer, I completed my MBA also from right here from Dallas, Southern Methodist University. And most of my background has been in airlines, aviation. During those years, I ran a lot of software development teams. I was an executive in a company recently. And then I decided to actually start my own AI venture. It's been actually in business for close to 3 years. An early part of my AI venture was working very closely with Manzoor Saab here at the University of Kashmir. So we solved certain problems using AI, machine learning, and computer science, of course. And now the venture I have, it's entirely focused mostly in the United States and Europe on airline solutions. So we're solving three key problems: reducing fuel, helping airlines in carbon sustainability, and safety and compliance. And with that said, that's about me. So I'm sure there will be questions. I'm happy to answer any questions. As I mentioned, I run a startup venture focused on very key areas in aviation. Over to you, Faisal.
Thank you very much, Summer. At this point, I'll turn it to our champ, our cricketer, Amjad. If you could kindly introduce yourself very quickly, and then we can turn it to the audience questions.
So thank you, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Pleasure to be here, and I'd like to thank Dr. Altaf and the rest of the Kashmir Foundation to start this initiative and giving me the opportunity to speak. Just a little bit about myself. I grew up in Srinagar, Barzala, and went to convent. Believe it or not, convent used to be co-education back then, till 2nd grade. And then they cut down on the boys from convent. I had to go to Burnhall. Started there in 3rd grade and did my matriculation in Burnhall as well. Back then, Burnhall used to be on a couple of small hills, small little buildings. Then they all burned down. They leveled the whole place and built the kind of building that you see. So very fond memories of a very small school that we used to have back then. I did my engineering from REC Srinagar, now NIT, in electronics and communication systems. Then in 90, things turned a little rough in Kashmir, and I had to leave. So I went to the US, did my master's in computer science, and since then I have worked at a whole bunch of companies in the US, some startup companies, security, infrastructure, networking, So I have a very varied background, including business intelligence. And then 18 years ago, I joined Microsoft in New York. And I've had multiple roles at Microsoft, primarily on the customer side in terms of sales. And that is why I wanted to kind of more focus, at least my part of the discussion, more on the business side. I have very esteemed technical folks here. So I've spoken to Dr. Altaf that, I can bring some perspective from the business side, how actually people using it, both on the consumer as well as the enterprise side. So about 8 years ago, I took a transfer within Microsoft and moved to Dubai. And so I've been leading the Middle East foreign work, the productivity and the AI business in Middle East. I have seen myself in the last 6 years, our business has grown from like 350 million to over $1 billion this year. So there's a huge amount of growth in this part of the world. And of course, we are at the forefront of AI when it comes to Microsoft. And also, I wanted to share just like summary, I'm an avid sports person. I represented Jammu, Kashmir in Ranji Trophy. I played for the US national cricket team in international tournaments. And in Dubai, I have played like 6 games in the last 1 week. I have a game today, actually. I'm at ICC right now. There's a game about to start. You can probably see the cricket field here. So right after this call, I'll be putting on my whites and jumping on the cricket field. So with that said, I'll turn it over back to Faisal and let's get into the rest of the discussion. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Amjad. Thank you, everyone. It's a very esteemed panel we have here today. Thank you very much. At this point, I'll turn it over to audience for any questions. I do see very patiently Farhan has been waiting. Farhan Salur has been waiting very patiently with his hand up. If the moderator can unmute and ask the question. My request to everyone asking questions is, in order to give an opportunity to everyone else, please keep your questions short to the point so that they can we can answer the question. And if your question is directed at any particular panelist, please let us know. If not, then I will use my judgment to pass it on to the right panelist. Farhan, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. My question is to you, Faisal, sir. So, as we belong from Kashmir, we know that we don't had much technologies, and it was a time 2008 when you had your PhD in artificial intelligence. How would you got aware about the artificial intelligence? Because there were not the much facilities available that time.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. That's an excellent question. Sorry, go ahead.
So we are currently studying AI in 2024. Today we have a lot of technologies available, but in 2008, how were you aware about it? What made you to choose it as your upcoming field?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I'll answer that. But before that, let me turn it over to Amjad. And I promise you, I will answer why I got into artificial intelligence. But let me turn this over to Amjad. And the reason I want to turn this over to Amjad is probably he's been in technology amongst us the longest, and he has seen technology changing over a period of time. So I want to hear from him how did this process evolve as he was in technology back in the day, maybe when AI wasn't at the forefront, to where we are now, and what are those things that probably led to that change? And then, Farhan, I promise you, I'll tell you my personal experience as well, why I got into AI. But at this point, I'll turn it over to Amjad.
Like you said, I've been in technology since 1990. I have seen the innovation right in front of my eyes. I did study AI. Yeah, I did study AI in my master's in 91, 92. And we had a book written by John Hayes. But it was just a subject. It was like theoretical. There was no like practical applications of AI and machine learning at that time. But from my perspective, I have seen the evolution of technology. When I started, we used to code using punch cards. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. They were not even, this was pre-floppy disks. And again, when it comes specifically to AI, like I said, I mean, if you look at Turing or other of the scientists, the AI became more of a norm in the 1950s. And since then, there has been research, there have been, papers written about it, but the practical usage or implications have just started in the last few years. But I can tell you what I have seen just in the last 2 years. I'm sure Junaid can vouch for Google, I can vouch for Microsoft. Just the unprecedented innovation that I have seen myself. It is just unprecedented. Going back to your, how did you learn about AI back in 2008 and what have you? I can tell you, when I wanted to go to graduate school in the US, I had to write an application, a typed application, mail it, standard regular mail to the US. It would take them three, 4 weeks to get it. It would take them another 3, 4 weeks to mail me an application. I had to go to the post office, make sure I pick up that application, handwrite it, fill it up, send it. It would take several months. So what today, the advantage all of you folks have as aspiring students and scientists is that the playing field has been leveled, meaning that you have, because of internet, you have exactly the same opportunity and resources available to you that is available to anybody in the US or UK or wherever, right? So that makes it much easier for you. When I was in REC Srinagar, we used to have a computer lab, and it used to have these old rundown computer machines, and they were not powerful at all. And we really didn't do much with them, to be honest with you. They were like, yeah, we have a computer lab. So now I see the conference room that I see at Islamic University. I mean, it looks like you're sitting in any of the Western enterprise companies using all the latest audio, visual, video equipment and what have you. So I'm not sure if I answered your question directly, but I have seen the innovation, and I think it's just going to keep going.
Yeah, thank you, Amjad. And we'll turn it over to someone else for another question. But before that, Farhan, as I promised, I will tell you about my personal experience. I was an undergrad and I was in NIT. Again, I had taken a transfer from NIT Srinagar to another NIT because NIT Srinagar did not have computer science at that time, and I wanted to do computer science. Another story, another day. But I did my undergrad in computer science, and artificial intelligence was one of the courses that we took in our senior year, which is fourth year, final year. And it was very basic, very rudimentary, very fundamental. But one of the things I learned over there was how you could actually learn a mathematical function using a neural network. Meaning you would have data. So let's say you had numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on the other side, you had 1, 4, 9, 16. As you can already see, the right side of the numbers is squared of the numbers on the left side. And you could actually learn that this function, f of x equals x squared, with a neural network. This was one of the most fascinating things, even though it was just, I mean, if I go back and look at what we did at that time and the type of neural network we trained, honestly, it's funny. We were like, come on, you guys were kids, right? You would say like something like that because of what we do now. But that was one of the most fascinating things. And I thought, this thing has so much potential. And Google was coming up. And this thing has so much potential. I want to learn it. And learning was the only reason I went for a PhD. I did not go for anything else. And I just wanted to learn the thing that actually could lead to learning these functions. And when I went to grad school, that's where I came to know it's called machine learning. And, there are statistical techniques, and there's Bayesian inference, and then there's so on and so forth. But that one thing led to another. And that's how I went into AI. Anyway, thank you for that question, Farhan. We'll move on. There's quite a few hands up. If the moderator can let us know who was first, or if we could pick one, that would be helpful.
Let's take the question from Sheikh Bashir from Hyderabad. So, Mudassir, if you could please.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I am from Kashmir. I have been out of Kashmir for quite some time now, about 13 years. I worked in Delhi and now I work in Hyderabad. I'm not as, I didn't come from an elite school like many of the panelists. I come from a very humble background and a government school. I've barely passed my 10th at 40% marks, I can tell you that. But my question really is, I have I have an 11-year-old daughter, and what I want to understand is 70% of our kids or the population study in government schools in rural areas. There are schools who still do not even have access to computers. I mean, I can give you 1,000 examples. I am also very interested in education and things like this, but schools even don't have access to computers. They don't have any idea what this system is all about. My very specific question is, I have an 11-year-old daughter, and I want her to be a technologist. And she's brilliant at studies at this point in time. How do we start teaching our kids in the absence of the system in the schools? How do we start teaching this to our kids, in our home environment, and that would be safe, sound, and really advanced? And at what level should we take it further in their lives to make it successful for them?
Thank you, Bashir. Excellent question. I think the right people to answer this question are the people in Kashmir, because they are much aware of the situation than any of us, even though we may have our answers with our nuances. But let me turn it over to maybe first Muzaffar. And Muzaffar, I would like to hear your thoughts on the question. It's a very pertinent question, excellent question, touching upon the ground situation, and how would you answer this question for Bashir?
Thank you, Faisal. If it is about essentially making your career in AI, then I don't feel that they still at Islamic University of Science and Technology, we do offer a BS program in artificial intelligence. If you look at the syllabus, you'll find it as relevant as anywhere in the world. And then if you are in postgrad, for example, and you're looking for your career in artificial intelligence, you again can go to MTech AI as long as you're BTech. And for example, you're not decided about which way to go, you can come to our DYOD program. After 2 years, you can declare your major, that should I go with AI, should I go with data science, should I go with other any possible like physics, chemistry, etc. So if it was all about choosing a right career path, we believe that in Kashmir you have enough of institutions, and IUST is one of them. And if it is about infrastructure, I can vouch for our infrastructure. It's as good as anywhere in the world. The state of the art infrastructure that we have vis-a-vis the AI. And if we talk about the other sciences, I guess that we have the state of the art infrastructure here. So if somebody is interested in doing his academics here, I believe that they're all lucky to come to IUST here. They can go to other institutions as well. It's not as bad as 90s or early 2000. We are now 2024. Come to us and you will find a good mentorship here. That's all about me. Thank you.
Thank you, Muzaffar. Muzaffar, how would you answer the question in terms of?
I think
so specifically,
what he wants to know is that at the age of 11, how can
exactly. So specifically at the age of 11. So
how can
specifically at the age.
See, I have been teaching computer science for the last 22 years, and I've seen many students who must not have seen computers all along their life till they enter our university. But one thing which I observed is that the success rate for those students who had done mathematics, very good mathematics, have been successful in computer science. If you see myself, up to 12th, I have never seen a computer. The first time I saw a computer was in my first year of engineering. So if anyone having good science background can do very well in computer science. And this transition to technology takes very less time for very good minds. Learning abilities during schooling is very important. Good, whatever subjects they are taught in school are very important. These are the core subjects which they use all their life. Now, this technology has become an integral part. So I think at this age, we don't need to think of making our children technologists at 11. maybe if there is some kid and he does good at technology at an age of 11, there may be facilities, or there may be some home guidance who help them. But for all kids, it is not necessary. I think let them grow as they grow it, but they let them grow well. Once they reach at this age, once they have a shift to technology, like at 11th or 12th, or let's say after in a graduate school, I think they will make it. Let's not force this technology on our small kids. Let them grow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. I think it's a good segue into the questions to our panelists, and I would like to take this question that the gentleman asked about the situation in Kashmir and how far advanced the rest of the world is in other things. I would like to turn to Amjad now and ask him somewhat of a similar question. Say, thinking he talked about many years ago, he was in convent or maybe Burn Hall, and of course we know there was no internet, and we were sort of, again, lagging behind a lot, which is not the case now. In many places, bar few, the Kashmir students, entrepreneurs, business owners have access to information like any other part of the world may have. So in this kind of world, in this connected and even on the global stage, Amjad, what is your advice to people on how do we plan, strategize, and operate so that we are globally competitive?
Thanks for the question. I think I answered part of it earlier when I gave you the example of back at least in the late 80s, early 90s, how difficult it was to even know which are the top universities or colleges overseas that one can apply to. And but today, you have the opportunity. I understand not everybody has access to computers, but majority of the schools, from what I see and hear in Kashmir, they do have computers. And as long as you have an internet connection, you can do any research that you feel. I mean, I'll give you an example. My grandfather went to Harvard in 1927, 100 years ago. And you tell me, how did he communicate back then? Where there's a will, there's a way. And this forum that Kashmir Foundation has put together, so you have resources from all over the world to help you. That is one of the reasons we are speaking with you today. That if you have any questions, if you have any challenge, if you hit a brick wall, how do I do this? How do I do that? You come to us, and we have traversed that path before, and we can coach you, we can guide you. This online course is available. I think we're going to share a link to some free online training that answers the question regarding the child who's 11 years old. How do you access online training? It's a free online training, and you can take it at your own pace around AI, machine learning, and it's for beginners, intermediate, advanced, the skill set that you have, and across multiple technologies, not just AI and ML, but it can be anything, it can be programming and what have you. So I would say that, there are avenues for you, and you just need to figure out, who's the right person. Back with us, it was word of mouth. Who do you know who knows somebody who has been to a university that is accredited or what have you. So I'll turn it over to you, Faisal.
Thank you, Amjad. Jeanette, I would really like to hear a little bit of your opinion on this. Would you like to add anything? And maybe somewhere after that.
So I would say in today's time, first thing that you need to know is what really are you interested in, right? And if it is technology, that's good. Anchor it around a problem statement, right? Now, why I say this, because I work a lot with startups. I see 16, 17, 18-year-old kids having startups, doing very well, right? And trying to create value. And then I also see organizations trying to do the same. What is pivotal is that you are able to stick to a problem statement. As an example, Summer talked about airlines, right? Now, if as a kid you are interested in airlines, and this also goes back to the question about the kid, if a kid is interested in something, it has to be more than just technology. It has to be a problem. You focus on that problem and then use technology to solve that problem one step at a time, right? I think that's the best way to learn. That's what I see around me. The sharpest, the smartest kids are the ones that are trying to solve a problem. And to the point that I made about airlines, So you start from the very beginning. What does an airline do? It takes a person from point A to point B. So if I have to go, let's say, from Munich to Delhi, how do I go? How do I calculate the distance? What you learn in school is Euclidean geometry, is two-dimensional. Now, how do you go from 2 to 3? How do you go to geodesic? Search, Google it, search for it. You'll figure out. And then maybe use the AI that is available now, like Gemini, to kind of ask Gemini, how do I calculate the geodesic distance from Munich to Germany? It'll give you an equation, right? It'll give you an equation, distance is equal to A cos so many brackets, sine A into sine B plus cos A into cos B, so on and so forth. You're not going to solve it, right? You now, again, use technology to ask, let's say in Google Colab, I mean, I'm using Google terms because this is the ones I know, I'm sure there are others, to kind of ask AI to write the code for you. I'm making it simple for the students, right? Ask AI to write the code for you and run it there. Even if you don't know Python, even if you don't know programming, it's not a problem anymore, right? So it will write that code for you and you find the distance. Now you would realize that you would want to know more about the airline industry. It's not that simplistic, right? You have crew, they need to be rested. There's AO, there's gates, there's so many things. Read about that, okay? And then you will realize you now need more complicated solutions, more AI, okay? Now take all this learning that you have and put it on a document, put it on your resume, create a project somewhere. Now take this resume and send it to someone in an organization or someone like Summer and tell them, hi, Summer, can I intern with you? Can I work with you? That is how you be successful in today's time, okay? So it's a kind of prescriptive setup, but this is what a lot of people are doing. And I will show you some links. This is Build Your Future with Google. And I'm sure all organizations, big tech, will enable you to do the same. We'll kind of create such avenues for you. So you can intern with organizations such as Google. You can do apprenticeship. They can sponsor you. They can give you scholarships. But you need to do it on your own. Okay? So go in there, check what the options are, check what the timelines are, create that resume that I talked about, and send it. Okay, what you don't need to do is send links to people, emails to people, and ask them that, hey, can you help me getting a job? No, that's not going to work. You do your hard work on your own, create something that's worth selling, and then go to people and ask them, hi, this is what I've done. Can I create value for you, right? So that's my answer to that question.
Thank you, Ned. Summer, you want to add a few things?
I will, yeah. So a couple of things that I feel that technology has evolved quite a bit, right? Now you have information on your fingertips. You don't need to, like Amjad was talking about, the communication has improved so much, right? If you Google anything that you need, it's at your fingertips. So I'll give you an example. So I run a startup. It has pretty much people in Europe, far-flung areas. So I have a data scientist, he's in the border area of Kashmir. Okay, then I have somebody who is in the South India of Kashmir. But how they collaborate, how are they exchanging ideas? There's quite a bit of knowledge transfer that happens on a daily basis, especially in a complicated world, like Junaid was talking about airlines, extremely complicated domain. So I would suggest that where there is a will, I go back to Amjad, if where there's a will, there's a way. If you want to learn more, even through K through 12, meaning before your university, keep up with some of the online resources, do the deep research, and it all boils on computer science, and then math and science are extremely important. Focus on math and science, then AI will come, or some of the ancillary applications that are built using AI will come. I would put very strong focus on math, science, verbal communication, and also written communication. Those are the areas, the fundamentals. If your fundamentals are good, then some of these things will, find its way.
Thank you, Summer. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
I think I have a question after this.
Yeah, with your permission, Faisal, can we take another question from the chat box? We have some questions.
Yes, I am. I was going to the chat box
Please.
actually.
Yeah,
if you have a particular question, please let me know. I was thinking of the question from the first question was from Mr. Vijay Rana. I was planning to go to that.
Yeah, please go ahead, please.
Yeah. So so before that, I have a question actually to all the panelists. Sort of what inspired you all to get into this field of ML and AI? It was going back to Sheikh Bashir's question. So I'll give you a minute to every panelist to sort of summarize your thoughts while we go to the question from Mr. Vijay Rana. Mr. Vijay Rana asks the question, dear panelists, can AI ML be used to help in rational use of medicine? Exaggerated use we know may lead to clinical complications. And the way I understand this is maybe using the right medicine in the right amount at the right time for the right patient kind of a thing. That's what he means by rational use of medicine instead of exaggerated use. So I'll take this question and open it up to any of the panelists. Maybe I'll start with you, Manzoor Saab, and then probably go to Junaid.
Yes, it can be used for this rational use of medicine, but the reason is that the machine needs to be trained on the data. Okay, so we need the data where the right amount of medicine has actually given a right result. And once the machine gets trained, then it will automatically, we cannot say automatically, it will actually learn a function that will in future give these dosages of medicine for the right patient or for the right disease. The only thing is that we need a complete data set where the right amount of medicine has been used for a specific disease. So there can be a solution for this type of problem.
Thank you, Manzoor Saab. Any other panelists want to jump in to answer, to add anything to the answer?
I will have a less than a minute answer. So why AI? So I've built software for, as I mentioned, for many corporations, different complex industries. So why almost 3-4 years back when we were starting to think about AI, one thing that really took me to start a business in AI, like if I had the data, I could monetize the data, build applications faster than the traditional software development. So our projects today, their life cycle is really 6 to 8 weeks versus 6 to 8 months for complicated airline projects. So that was one of the very straight monetize the AI. The speed that you can build these projects is faster than the traditional software development.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wants to add to this question from Mr. Vijay?
I can take a stab there. So
yeah, please, Junaid.
Thank you for the question, Vijay. It's a nice question. A lot of work is being done in this space. If you understand how, I hope you understand how the foundational models of AI work. They're trained on the data available across internet. And that would obviously, because it's trained on a large corpus of data, it would include information coming from the health industry. And if you saw the recent announcements about the Nobel Prize, wherein the protein structure analysis database AlphaFold was the folks who worked on it, who created those models, were given the Nobel Prize. That's the fastest Nobel Prize in history. So a lot can be done very quickly. But what becomes very important, especially if you go to clinical side of health, is the compliance, is the fact that you need to be 100% accurate. There, what would be required is for an organization to take their data that they have and then fine-tune the model, fine-tune the existing underlying foundational models or the models that are already being created for the health ecosystem, health APIs. Use those and train those models, further fine-tune them using your own specific data. And I do understand big pharma, a lot of big pharma would obviously be interested in doing things like this. Clinical chains would want to do stuff like that, starting from the health records, then back into providing a kind of advice to the doctors and helping figure out the complications as you rightly said.
Perfect. Thank you, Junaid. Great answers. So Vijay, I want to briefly add, to all the answers that the panelists have provided, is that one of the fields of AI, how AI has helped in healthcare, is a field we call precision medicine. And precision medicine is basically, historically, if you look at clinical trials were always sample-based, meaning you take a sample, you figure out case control, and you identify what is the outcome based on particular treatment versus a control group. And these are all based on samples where then you hope that this will generalize to the larger population. And the error bars, the statistical error bars, and you might know hypothesis testing and the error bars, they are very high because you take a very small sample and then try to generalize it to a larger population. The way AI helps is that it can actually personalize, because it can consume all the genotype and phenotype data. It can consume all of that and provide very targeted therapies. So you can use it to titrate doses. You can use it to identify actual molecules that can be used for particular targeted therapies. So as you said, there's a lot more rational use of medicine if it's used properly. And it has been, very successful in many areas, mostly Mendelian diseases. And that it actually provides this very targeted, therapies and selection of treatments. So that way, it as you said, could avoid exaggerated treatments. So thank you for that question. I'll turn it back to the panel, and then I promise I'll come back to the audience questions as well. As I mentioned, I'll go to each panelist and ask them, what was that one motivating factor, or maybe a series of events that sort of inspired all of you to get into this field? And I'll start with Samar this time.
Okay, so AI ML, as I said, one motivating factor, I enjoy solving problem statements. One motivating factor for me to be in the AI ML space is that I could execute faster, and I could basically be looking at the business outcomes a lot more faster than solving the problems using non-traditional or non-AI. So that was one of the main reasons that led to me to focus more on AI. I'm definitely more interested in what ChatGPT and generative AI hold in the future. And I'm still going to keep pushing the boundaries and how it could actually evolve some of the areas that I'm looking into. But that's one of my main reasons. You can just do a lot of things faster than the traditional. That's one of the areas that motivated me really to pursue the AI/ML track.
Perfect. Thank you, Samar. Amjad?
So folks, for me, like I said, I've been in the industry very long, and I've seen it evolve. And over the years, the trend has changed. And just it so happens that being technology for such a long time, I have also evolved with the way things have moved on. And for me being at Microsoft, we have taken kind of a leadership role along with some of the other leading companies in AI. And I just happen to be more on the business side. So when someone talks about airline industries or you talk about healthcare, so I personally, deal with a lot of companies, especially in Middle East, like Aramco's of the world, ADNOC's of the world. These are like oil and gas companies. How do they streamline their operations? One is on the productivity side, but then, how do you harness the data that you have from all these different applications and make sense of it and create like a UI, a user interface to the AI, right? So that is kind of what has stirred me, and just solving customers' problems. Just like Junaid was saying that he deals with a lot of customers, startups, enterprises. I deal with a lot of enterprise customers, and their use cases are very different. So whether it's a government who is trying to streamline operations, who is trying to automate, traffic flows, or figuring out, where they need to build a new highway to cut down on congestion and what have you, all the way to retail, how do they optimize their sales and so on and so forth. So all these are interesting use cases for me, and I represent kind of the business side of things. So for me, it's intriguing to talk to customers across a plethora of different industries and figuring out the use cases, and then figuring out behind the scene how AI can help them. And we talked about, someone talked about coding. So GitHub, for instance, is a repository for coding. So we have seen customers who have cut down to like 70% faster. They're able to code using GitHub. So basically, you just write natural language query that I want to do X, Y, Z. Junaid mentioned Python, so you don't need to be a Python programmer. Say, for instance, using Excel, you can actually ask a natural language, how do I create a pivot table? So that is the power of AI. For me, it is fascinating to see how I'm able to go and help customers solve their.
All right, thank you, Amjad. I'll turn it over to Junaid.
Yeah, thank you. So, same, I would kind of agree to what Amjad said, that as you stay in technology for a while, you understand what are the new things that are coming, the new technologies. And then if you are kind of interested in learning, you pivot. You pivot to the latest and the greatest of technologies. And that's what I've been doing since day one. I kind of was there when containers and Kubernetes microservices came in. I created some courses that were the best sellers globally for containers. And then the natural progression for me was machine learning. Before this, I used to kind of run a product. I created a product for an organization that did a lot of operations, automation, and mile alerts and all using machine learning, basic regression concepts, and then of course now generative AI was a logical kind of next segue for me.
Thank you, Junaid. Manzoor Saab, you already mentioned at the very beginning how you got into computer science. Anything particular why you got into AI ML and how that motivation came about?
Actually, in our fourth year course of engineering, we had a subject called artificial intelligence, and so this has a practical part also. So we're taught coding AI in Prolog and Lisp. So at the end of that course, we had to make a project. So we were given a project to make an expert system. When we started coding this expert system, actually that created that interest into artificial intelligence. And we were taught about the different ways of making the system to learn, like learning by rote method, taking advice, all different methods of learning. So that actually imbibed that interest into artificial intelligence. So once we did that project successfully, then over the time I had done some jobs. And finally, when I landed into Kashmir University, so I had been teaching artificial intelligence. I did my research in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and natural language processing. So that is how I was into this AI field.
At this point, I'll turn it over to Muzaffar Saab. Please briefly mention what you would like to add, and at the same time, I'll keep it with you after that to go to the next question from the audience. So before that, just would like to see what you want to add to this.
Oh, thank you, Faisal. Probably my background in mathematics, that was the reason that I was very close to machine learning. If you go to the machine learning, if you try to understand it from a very core mathematical point of view, it's a curve fitting. It is, somehow curve fitting. But being new, when I started my research program in 2013, I had a choice, but the AI sounded very relevant to me. So fast forward 2019, I, as a university teacher, I see a lot of scope here in interdisciplinary research, transdisciplinary research, and then a possibility of turning your research into a product, the translational value that it has. So while being at computer science department or say at the center of AI, we do collaborate with the people from Watson Crick Center for Molecular Medicine. Otherwise, I do not have a background in biology, by the way. But if you see to my profile, you'll find a lot of papers that are published that are in cancer biology now. Then we talk to cost people, and then my research is in horticulture as well. So this is a science that gives you a scope and flexibility to move beyond the sciences. We have conducted even research in social science as well. This I do not see a scope in other sciences. Probably they don't talk to each other. Here at AI, you have a scope to talk to anyone that makes sense to you. Thank you.
Great. All right, thank you. So you want to take a question from the audience? Any particular question that you want to take from the chat?
Yeah, there's one question from Zubaid Rashid from IUST. So if Zubaid is online, can quickly ask the question. Or should I read it for you? Yeah, he's far away from the microphone. Let me read it for him. So his question is, what advice would you give to aspiring AI professionals looking to break into top tech companies like Google? Maybe Junaid Sab can.
Perfect. This has Junaid. No, this has Junaid written all over it. This question. So Junaid, why don't you take this question?
You cannot get in just by kind of trying to apply, right? I think we are at a time where the number of applicants that we see today for a single job is amazing, is unprecedented. We have thousands, sometimes tens of thousands for one job. And especially if the job is machine learning related. You need to create a point of view. You need to have a body of work to show, right? As I said, pick up a problem statement, create a solution for that, right? Create a innovative solution for that. And then go with that solution. And whenever you are coming up for a discussion with anyone, an interview, share that. That's one. Second part is try to create a network, right? Reach out to people, go to meetups, join forums which have like-minded people. That's where the learning would happen. It's important to learn. It's important to network and then share your capabilities or share your body of work with the right set of people. And I can assure you, people would be more than willing to help. Dr. Lal, who created this amazing initiative, told you right at the beginning that there are folks in North America who have joined post midnight, right? I joined 6 a.m. in the morning. All of us would be more than willing to help, and there'll be so many more like us. What you need to do is to show initiative that, yes, I am better than everyone else. I can add value. And once you do that, I can assure you, it's easier than what people think.
Thank you, Junaid. I'll take a few questions, Amr Sab, if you allow me.
Please.
But very, very quickly, I would like the panelists to keep the answers very short because I want to really go through them. This one is for you, Samar. I think pertains to you very well from Khalud. It says, is AI plus MBA a good combination to pursue?
Oh, yeah. That's kind of like me, right? So what I will...
That's why I threw the question to you.
No, I think what the MBA really helped me, as I worked in the corporate sector for quite a bit, almost 15, 60 years before I started to run a startup. A startup they're hard, but the amount of learning that you are going through a startup, especially from building a product, selling a product. I'm more, as Amjad's more like a business guy. I'm also right at this stage of my life. My job is more, how do I sell the AI solutions to these airlines, or we have a non-airline solution. Long story short, yeah, totally. The MBA has totally helped me. I can run a company. I can look at cash flows. I can look at burn rates, and that all came from the formal education of the business school. Totally.
Perfect. Thank you, Samar. Thank you very much. I think this question has Muzaffar Saab written all over it. Muzaffar Saab, this question is for you. It's from Momin, and he asks, could you please guide me on where to begin learning about AI applications in drug discovery?
We have some success story at IUST. Two of my colleagues, Dr. Asif Asad and Dr. Muzaffar Maja. We are conducting one research on drug discovery. If I would suggest that if you have a background in biology, then think about, just go to the basic material of, how drugs interact, how molecules interact with each other. And, what are the basic steps to conduct the experimentation, as long as you're very, final or even problem statement. If you just want to know, then maybe you start with the very basics of how molecules interact with each other. But if you have some background in AI, then, and if you want to conduct some experimentation, then come to us at IUST. We may help you in writing your experiment.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Very quickly, this question for Amjad. Amjad, the question is, there's been a lot done in AI. So what are some recent impactful areas in AI and computer science that you think the upcoming students should focus on, especially to tackle challenges around specific areas like regions in Kashmir or something like that?
So first of all, I think I posted a couple of links in the chat window. One of them is access free online training for anybody from beginners to intermediate to advanced, and it doesn't cost you anything. You can take it at your own pace. And it's not just AI and machine learning. It can be anything. Somebody asks a question, how do I learn ABC of AI and machine learning? So that is one. The second thing is, like I said, it is such a rapidly evolving technology that every day I think I see something new. And Junaid can vouch for it too. Just the innovation, the rapid innovation AI became kind of a buzzword 2 years ago, right? And in the 2 years, I personally have seen, OpenAI. There is besides the productivity stuff of where I can, create slides just by writing a natural language query. I can summarize a document. I can create a pivot table. But there are more practical uses as well. I was speaking with a cousin of mine. He is a pediatric ophthalmologist. He treats children with eye diseases. And he was telling me there is no way for anybody today to differentiate between the retina of a male and a female, right? But he said with AI, you can do it. So imagine that if you're a physician, and just a use case, just to give you an example, where you can identify a retina, whether that's male or female. So that's one. And people also come to me saying, hey, are we going to lose our jobs? I don't think that is the case. I think there may be 20% of the jobs which may, they may be done like 1,000 times faster, right? And I've been in technology since the early 90s. And back then, when computers were becoming more prevalent, people would say, hey, are we going to lose our jobs because of computers? No, what it did, it created a whole new line of roles and jobs related to the computer technology. Same goes for AI and ML. Some roles, some jobs will be transformed to do things a little differently, but I think it's going to create a whole lot of new jobs, especially around development and programming.
Perfect. Thank you, Amjad. Amjad, at this time, I would like to have audience who have their hands up very patiently, see if we can get some questions from them.
Yes, please. So I see hand of Dr. Rafia Mushtaq up. Rafia, if you're there, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, and with that, we'll conclude this the session. But Rafia, please go ahead.
Good morning to all of you. Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Rafia Mushtaq. I am a researcher at SCOST. I have PhD in fruit sciences. So I have a question to all the panelists from the AI background. 2 years back, I have started my startup, which is based on automation and mechanization in the horticulture sector. We are trying to bring down the culture labor dependence in the culture practices of the orchard management, focusing more likely on the apple farming. Question is actually, I want to understand from you all, what would be your perspective of using your expertise in the Kashmir only, working with us, coming to the Kashmir, or else you want to serve, like you want to be in the West always. Also, it is an also seeing the expertise, lot of expertise. I would seek and mentorship from any one of you who is in the startup, who is more likely working with the startups. So this is my question.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think that's an excellent question to wrap up this conversation. First of all, let me make this clear. There's very esteemed panelists on this panel that are based out of Kashmir. So not everyone is based out of the West or the US. That's one. And the second thing is, I think we really wanted to close up this conversation with something like that. Like, how can all of us, whether we're based out of West or locally in Kashmir, help and mentor other people? Why don't I take this to Junaid and say, how can we help to generate this new knowledge and ideas in any of the sectors in Kashmir? And I would like to take this question to each of the panelists very quickly of how we can help and how we can use sessions like this by Kashmir Care Foundation to actually enable that ideation and knowledge generation. Junaid, I will start with you.
So I think technology is a great democratizer. It gives you access no matter where you are, in order to create a product or a solution that you would want to build, right? I think today the biggest advantage is that you can use technology to do that. How you need to find the right set of either people and or mentors. And I think this initiative by Dr. Lal is an amazing opportunity to gain both the network as well as the mentorship. So I would personally say stay connected here. And if you ask me, glad to help anyone with the amount of time that I have, for sure.
Thank you very much, Junaid. We really, really appreciate it. Amjad, or actually, let me take this back to Kashmir first. Let's hear from Muzaffar Saab first.
Faisal, I think Amjad had to jump off.
Yeah. So let's take it Muzaffar Saab, and then we can bring it back to Summer maybe. So Muzaffar Saab, you want to speak a little bit?
If she's very specific to the to some help vis-a-vis her conducting the research, because she's targeting the Apple industry, we have some experience and rather success story, our group, that we did some tinkering with the Apple industry. If she needs some scientific advice, then we are here to help her. And if in whatever way, I mean, let's know the specific help that she needs. Maybe we're here to help. We have maybe the infrastructure available, we have the human resource, and we have the expertise. I guess that.
Perfect. Thank you. I think if we can create connections like this, I think we would consider the job of this panel successful. We would consider the job of this panel done, because that's what we want to create, these networks and these opportunities. So that would be awesome. Summer, I would like to hear from you.
Yeah, a couple of things, like I think I forgot the name of you can reach out to us. I mean, we are a startup. We're in Kashmir. We recruit from IUST. If there's an interesting use case, we can help definitely guide. Then there are a lot of resources in India also from startup perspective. Maybe not in Kashmir, but they're all virtual. I'm happy to connect you, bridge some gaps. And again, the connections are there, the resources there. It's just that initiative has to be taken, and then we're happy to help in whatever form we can. Really build that idea and work with IUST or work with our team also. We've got some data scientists there.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Summer. And last but not the least, I'll take this to Manzoor Saab, and after Manzoor Saab, I'll basically close this session and take it back to Dr. Altaf Saab for the next to announce the next session. Manzoor Saab.
I would request Dr. Altaf Saab to actually form a community where AI experts from across the world can be connected with those who want mentorship or career guidance and any sort of help in solving their real world problems using AI and ML. I think that community and experts can help these startups like Rafia to solve their problems, and maybe we can guide them from any place in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's an excellent thought, and I think that's an excellent way to close this session and bring this to a close with that follow-up. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions, and there's a lot of questions in the chat as well. So we'll do our best to be able to answer those questions. If you haven't put your question in chat, I encourage you to do that. We will collect those questions, try to consolidate them, and see if we can answer those questions. If there are contacts that you could put in there for us to reach out to, that would be great as well. We will definitely try our best to get back to you also. I encourage you to put your question in the chat, and we'll try to get back to you with your contact information. At this time, I would like to close the session and bring back Dr. Altaf for the closing remarks, as well as announcing what the next session was going to be. Dr. Altaf.
Faisal, thank you so much. And thanks to the panelists, thanks to so many of you who raised your hands, and apologies that we were not able to reach out to each one of you. I want to pick up where Junaid left. He said what each one of us has to believe in this technology space or any other technology space is the democratization of the know-how and the technology. I want to add a second component to that, which is enabler. At an event we had in Srinagar on 29th of September, there was an entrepreneur in the room, and he said entrepreneurship is about solving problems. But for you to solve a problem, to the last speaker from Skoust, you have to have a problem statement, a crisp problem statement. So if those things exist, life will become easy for you. And we'll stay connected. Manzoor Saab, in response to your question, there is an initiative in kind of pre-development within the Kashmir Care Foundation. It's going to be termed as Kashmir Care Rolodex, where we will convene virtually everyone in a given space. So AI ML will have a Rolodex. Junaid hai, Amjad hai, Samar hai, Faisal Bhai hai, Muzaffar hai, Manzoor Afsa hai, or there'll be another 200 people easily, right? Maliha would be there. And when we have that Rolodex, then it'll be easy for us to connect the youngsters with the individuals who will reside on Rolodex. And we're not there yet. I don't want people to get their hopes up. We're not there yet, but that's inshallah what the plan is. In order for us to do our job well, जो मैंने पहले कहा था कि अगर तु 5 नफरन पन्यन दोस्तन 10 नफरन when you about Kashmir Care Foundation, have them join us on Facebook because we want to hear from you. We don't want to wait for a session to hear the feedback. Feedback आप regular करते रहो. info@kashmircarefoundation.org. We'll use that feedback. And question is, who is KCF? KCF is Kashmir Care Foundation. So that's my my statement in response to the last question. Zahoor Saab, if we can get the next slide up. And while the slide is coming up, I want to invite, I know Upendra had to leave. I want to invite Hamid Zargar Saab and Nargis. I think both of them are on the call. If you could please speak for about 20 seconds. The next session is on clinical sciences, treatment using local knowledge. ये सेशन हम प्लान कर रहे हैं in honor of Dr. Ali Jan. Dr. Ali Jan, who identified and championed treatment at times when the diagnostics were limited, rare, and beyond many hands. So please join us for that session on November 24th at 10:30 a.m. in the morning. All of our sessions are going to be on Sunday, last Sunday of the month at 10:30 a.m. Zargar Saab, over to you. If you can please say make some few comments about the session and about yourself.
My name is Dr. Abdulhamid Zargar, and I'm a professor of endocrinology, and I work in Srinagar. I was really amazed today listening to so much brilliance. In my personal capacity, I'm so delighted. When I was doing my postdoctoral studies in PGI, I got an opportunity to be for a few months in AIIMS. And there was a meeting of an organization under the banner of World Health Organization, iodine, thyroxine, and brain development. And this fundamentally was not a conventional conference. This was a meeting of the researchers in the field of iodine. And one thing that dawned during that period to me was that iodine is extremely essential for brain development. And we belong to an area which is perennially iodine deficient. Iodine not only causes extreme brain insufficiency, but at societal level, the IQ starts dropping down in different percentiles. So once I came back to Srinagar, we studied iodine deficiency, and we put in place the mechanism to take care of this iodine deficiency. And it took almost 3 decades to completely contain it. And when I look at this brilliant stuff today, it makes my core happy that I have somehow been responsible for elevating that IQ to some extent over my efforts of the last 4 decades. The details of that you will listen to in the program next month on 27th of November. Delighted to be a part of it. Thank you, Professor Altaf.
Thank you, Zargar Saab. It's on November 24th, 10:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time. Nargis, if you're online still, if we can hear you also. Nargis is Associate Professor at SKIMS, one of the leading microbiologists.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Dr. Nargis Wali, and I'm an Associate Professor at the Sher-e-Kashmir Institute of Medical Sciences, SKIMS, Sora. I can see Sir smiling, because I remember when I joined SKIMS, I joined under his leadership. He was the director back then. So it's going to be amazing to be on the same platform as Dr. Parvez Kaur and other dignitaries. I just want to make a couple of comments regarding today's session. First of all, let me congratulate everyone. It was an amazing session. What wonderful stories, what amazing people, very well moderated. Faisal, if you're listening to this, then amazing moderation. You knew when to pitch in, you knew when to pitch out. And I look forward to our session on the clinical sciences, which is obviously going to be next month. And I just hope that more and more people join in, more and more people get they see all these faces, and they see the hard work, and they see that all the difficulties that we have had and how we have overcome all those challenges. Because the faces that I saw on the screen today, I mean, they are huge success stories. But I would have personally loved to hear about the difficulties that they faced. I mean, what you see is a finished product, and tremendous load of hard work has gone down to being where they are today. So I look forward to talking to you on a more personal level, on a more humane level. And thank you, Altaf Sir, for giving this platform to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nargis. And I know others were supposed to be joining, but they did not for reasons they've explained to me. Amir, let me pass it over to you, please.
Thank you so much, sir. And thanks to our amazing moderator and our amazing panelists. It was a wonderful session. We learned a lot, and our participants surely learned a lot. There are so many questions in our chat box. And as our moderator also mentioned, we will try our best to compile these and get the answers from the panelists. And this will be available on the knowledge lounges, which you will find the link to knowledge lounges within the website of kashmircarefoundation.org. So thank you so much. We are overwhelmed by the response. There are so many hands which are still up. There were many questions, so we request them to put those questions in the chat box. So we'll have to conclude, but we are looking for ways to come back and have certain separate breakout sessions also. Dr. Lal has a comment to make.
I just want Amir to inform the audience, who 140 of them are still, and I think many of them are the ones whose questions haven't been answered. Personal apologies for that. Time Osniyuta. But next session, which we start, we'll be doing follow-on session on AI and ML. We'll start with answering your questions. So that your time is preserved. It will go on top end. We'll get that. So with that, I want to thank everyone. Amir, back to you.
Thank you so much, sir. So for the last session also, which was on space sciences, and what we have done there also, we had many questions. And Dr. Lal has wonderfully organized some breakout sessions also. All three panelists have agreed to engage with those people who had those questions one-on-one. So there would be some breakout sessions for that also. Why I'm mentioning this here is that we are not leaving any question unanswered, so that anyone who joins us here and wants to know something, we make sure that they get the answers. So we'll stay connected. So with this, we'd like to conclude today's session and thank all the panelists, core team members of KCF who have worked very hard to get us to this place. I would like to share one last thought for the day. We live in a global village where information technology and related sciences will continue to shape our lives in the future. So we request all the panelists, we have many students who are from bachelor's courses, master's courses, we have school students and others. So please keep talking to friends, talk to your family about what, how, and why of artificial intelligence and machine learning. We learned a lot and we have to continue learning. I will now formally close this session with sincere thanks to the panelists for the time and efforts they have devoted to this session, for speaking to you and answering your questions, and for the willingness to continue staying engaged with you. We'll see you again during the next session, which will be held on 24th of November, 2024. This will be on clinical sciences, and we'll stay in touch. And please keep checking our social media. And if you are not following us already, follow us. We are on Facebook, we are on X, we are on Instagram. Do follow us. Thank you so much. We'll meet next month in class.